How's it going, you guys? So in this video I'm going to be reviewing this Rhodiola extract by Life Extension. So I've been taking this Rhodiola extract for a little bit over 3 weeks now, and I have to say it was a good idea to try a proper Rhodiola extract, because I've taken various other forms of Rhodiola in the past. And if you've been following me for a while, you know I tried Rhodiola in the Herb Farm full spectrum, whole plant extract. Okay, so it was like a 4-to-1 or an 8-to-1 extract where they take 8 times the herb and then they condense it down into a tiny little capsule. And so you may have 300 milligrams of the extract, but it came from 2,000 milligrams of the herb or whatever. And so that was a full spectrum standardized extract, and it put me to sleep when I would take it. And I took it for about a month in February, and I've taken it many times before, and it seemed to also increase feelings of depression and things like that. And so I made a video talking about that. And I also released a video discussing the science behind Rhodiola and some of the mechanisms of action of the various molecules in it that's generally standardized for. And so this extract is 250 milligrams per capsule. It's standardized at 3% rosavins and 1% solid rosides. So at first I was only taking, this extract didn't affect me the same way that the Herb Farm one did, because it's standardized, and instead of a full spectrum extract, this one's standardized. Okay, so started off with just 250 milligrams in the morning for a couple days, and then when I realized it wasn't putting me to sleep or anything, I bumped it up to 250 milligrams once in the morning and then once in the evening. And to put some context out there, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about 2 to 3 hours, 4 to 5 days a week, on top of max strength and conditioning in the morning. So I'm extremely active. And so eventually I decided to bump it up to 500 milligrams in the morning and 500 in the evening. So after 2 weeks of taking 250 milligrams in the morning and 250 in the evening was when I decided to bump it up to 500. And I think a big reason is because I noticed an increase in, I noticed a general increase in resiliency to stress. So social interactions were very easy for me to detach myself from. So for example, if someone was acting foolish or somebody was freaking out and maybe being negative or something, it was very easy for me to be around that and not let it affect me. If there were crazy drivers on the road or something like that, they didn't really affect me so much. It was a lot easier for me to handle stressful situations without needing to engage in any kind of cognitive strategies. And generally these days I'm really good about that on my own, but I definitely noticed a suppression of adrenaline and a suppression of cortisol in response to outside stimulation. So, generally you can feel stress and you can handle it, but with Rhodiola, it on a molecular level, it blunted the feelings of stress. Most of the tasks that I already had scheduled for the day, they became easier. I didn't really have to think much about doing things, and if I was late for a job or something, it didn't bother me as much. I didn't have a panic attack on my way to work. So it blunted the stress response. Like, it did exactly what it's supposed to do. What it's marketed towards and what the studies say it's supposed to do, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. And I think because it blunted the feelings of stress, I had more energy, because I believe stress takes, first of all, the neurotransmitters responsible for stress, such as adrenaline and cortisol, they are created from the same amino acid that the feelings of motivation and energy are created from. So phenylalanine and tyrosine, eventually they can convert to thyroxine or thyroid hormone, and they can also convert to adrenaline and cortisol, and they can also convert to dopamine and neuroadrenaline. Dopamine and neuroadrenaline are responsible for motivation, and dopamine can also be responsible for anxiety when it's combined with adrenaline. And dopamine can be traded off for cortisol when you are in stressful situations. So when you are less stressed, your body converts more of these raw materials into dopamine and noradrenaline rather than cortisol and adrenaline. And so you have more energy because less of your resources are being taken by the stress neurochemicals, if that makes sense. And generally, stress just brings people down, it fatigues them and weighs them down. And so I definitely had less fatigue despite having a very high amount of exercise output. Now, the cons to this, I think, were a huge reason why I stopped. So I'm now 2 days off of rhodiola. And again, it just had a really good numbing effect on stress without sedating me. It helped me think clearer, and, you know, putting thoughts together, I suppose, were much easier. Like I didn't overthink. Stopped my tendencies of overthinking. However, I feel like, number one, 100%, it killed my libido. Even when I was taking mega doses of maca root, my libido was virtually non-existent. And that was pretty bad, but I guess it doesn't matter at this point, like right now at this cycle of my life, because I don't have time for that kind of stuff right now anyway. But yeah, my libido was gone. The other thing that it did, so while it was easy for me to get up and do tasks without stressing, I found that my creativity and productivity outside of things that were already scheduled was completely killed. Like, it was very hard for me to feel inspired, to feel motivated, to feel compelled. I felt less resonance with things, if that makes sense. Like, I would do the things I need to do, but I just didn't feel a connection to it, if that makes sense. Not to say I felt disconnected or like depersonalized, you know, and like in some of these anxiety disorders, but I just felt like it didn't, like it was just, it was what it was. Like, there was no happiness involved, there was no excitement involved. Like, so it wasn't nearly as bad as like ashwagandha can do sometimes, especially the KSM, 66 version. It wasn't that bad, but it was just like less personality, like less connection to things, less feeling, like less urgency, less inspiration is probably the best way to put it. Like I didn't feel like, I guess you guys understand what I'm saying here. There was a lack of like inspiration and those positive emotions associated with the things I was doing. And I think that that's typical amongst most of these like serotonin influencing type herbs, even though they have secondary effects on GABA and dopamine. And it depends on the extract that you take, okay? But most of these types of herbs, they tend to do things like that, as far as the ones that deal with serotonin. So then when I got off of it, so today's my second day off of rhodiola, and I got off of it because I recognized my lack of, feeling compelled to do things, my lack of inspiration and whatnot. So I had withdrawal symptoms yesterday. I felt just horribly depressed the first day coming off of it. And mind you, through the month of July, I just took no supplements at all, other than maybe magnesium here and there, maybe some maca. And I notice compared to being off of supplements completely, like when I'm off of supplements, I'm fine. So it's not like I have depression. It's not like I have depression or anything. I actually felt amazing in July when I just was experiencing my baseline without any herbs or anything. But when I was coming off the rhodiola, I felt like yesterday I just had the worst withdrawals. I just felt so depressed. I felt so like emotional and sentimental. And I did notice that there were some feelings of depression throughout the entire time of me taking rhodiola, but it wasn't too bad. But when I came off of it, it was just like, whoa. Was crying. I remember trying to hold in tears when I was doing my personal training with a client, and it was just terrible. Because I kept like, wearing the mask, it was easier, I guess, but I was like wiping tears in between sets and reps. And I don't think he knew, but yeah, and I noticed rhodiola has a tendency to influence feelings like this, although maybe it's just things I've been dealing with this year. But typically things like ashwagandha, rhodiola, St. John's wort, 5-HTP, these types of things that have effects on the serotonin system, they tend to make me feel that way. Yerba mate with some black tea from India. Delicious stuff. So, in closing, if somebody's going to try rhodiola, I do think this is one of the most legit forms you can try it in. In the future, I might try another different extract, and I might take, 500. I might just start off with the 500 milligrams in the morning and 500 at night. I think it might have increased my endurance, but I don't know. I'm going to have to see how I do without it for a while. Maybe I'll try KSM 66 ashwagandha in the future and give that a run. But what would I say about this? This is not for me. Serotonin boosting type herbs, not to say it's the only effects this has, but ones that mainly boost, serotonin as a major effect, they just don't work for me. They never have. They've always had the opposite effects compared to everyone else. And again, I didn't experience terrible feelings when I was on rhodiola. And I think there was a period of time after about 2 weeks when I was feeling really good. But I just think compared to my baseline, I think I felt better and I had better effects without it. So, just without anything. So, with that being said, again, I'll probably try rhodiola again in the future after, another couple weeks without it. I'm probably going to try Panax ginseng combined with ginkgo biloba here in a little while. And also Siberian ginseng is something I'm going to have a standalone run with. So leave your questions and comments down below. Let me know your experience with rhodiola and what brands you've tried. I'd love to hear you guys' experiences and whether they're positive or negative or nothing at all. I'd love to hear it. Thanks a lot, you guys.